It's Monday, November 15. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom Gill. States of emergency have been declared in 7 police divisions across the island. Prime Minister Andrew Holness made the announcement at a press conference at Jamaica House Sunday morning. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the areas identified for the SOEs all have murder rates in excess of the regional average of 15%. He says his administration has decided to recommend these SOEs as the increase in crime threatens public safety.
States of public emergencies were declared in the police divisions of St. James, Westmoreland, and Hanover. These 3 are termed the tri-parish SOEs. And in the corporate area, the St. Andrew South Police Division, the Kingston West Police Division, the Kingston Central Police Division, and the Kingston East Police Division. All of these divisions have seen increases ranging from 16% to 57%.
The Prime Minister says the nature and frequency of crimes has forced the government to take action.
I'm sure every Jamaican would have recognized that the nature and frequency of the violence has devolved to a level of barbarity, a level of savagery. It is almost a competition for cruelty, the worst of the worst, and it appears to be designed, properly calculated to drive fear into the citizenry of the country and panic in communities. The government cannot remain crippled. It cannot see these things happening and not take action.
Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson also echoed concerns about the number of shootings and murders, as well as the shift in criminal activities and their impact on society.
But there are other victims, and those who are shot but do not die and spend months in state medical care. Also those who are left behind to fend for themselves and to mourn, and entire communities that live in fear.
He says up to Friday, more than 1,000 people had been murdered in Jamaica.
392 of those were killed across the 4 divisions in Kingston and St. Andrew, which represents 32% of the national figure. Of the 1,100 persons shot but who were not killed, that region accounted for 391 of the victims, or 36% of the national figure. In the parishes of St. James, Westmoreland, and Hanover, there have been 272 victims of murder. This represents 22% of the national figure, while 214 persons were shot and injured, also representing 22% of the national figure. Not included in the statistics are the 11 murders that took place over the last 24 hours that were reflected in this morning's crime report.
The police commissioner says the new states of emergency will be imposed in addition to other security measures now in force. Government Senator Charles Sinclair is calling for Cornwall Regional Hospital repairs to be declared a national development project. He made the proposal during his contribution to the State of the Nation debate on Friday. Cornwall Regional Hospital has been under repair since 2017 when an air quality report forced the authorities to shutter the building. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton had disclosed that some $784 million have been spent on the rehabilitation and continuing service while works are being undertaken. On Friday, Government Senator Charles Sinclair told his colleagues in the upper house that the work has lagged longer than what was expected.
It is time we complete the task at hand. And if this takes place in the restoration under the portfolio of the Honourable Prime Minister, as some have said, but I don't see it as being necessary. But so if it is so, so be it. If it takes declaring it a national development project for the task to be accomplished, let us do what has to be done.
$1.15 billion has been budgeted for works on the hospital. Senator Sinclair says the people of Western Jamaica desires that the hospital be repaired by any means necessary. Meanwhile, he praised health workers who serve at the facility.
In the interim, I continue to commend every health worker, administrative staff, security, and others who continue to give up their best in the circumstances, and Jamaica extends to them its gratitude.
Ground has been broken for the Ministry of National Security's Forensic Pathology Autopsy suite. It's being built at a cost of $547 million. The facility is being built in downtown Kingston and it's slated for completion come January 2023. Minister of National Security, Dr. Horace Chang, says the move signals the government's commitment to equipping the security forces to deal with crime in the 21st century.
We're investing in our security services and the support service to ensure that they can, in fact, provide safety as the other program takes shape, because overcoming the violence is not an overnight problem. And while the violence continues on the street, the police force must be provided with the tools and the support to be effective and efficient. We have excellent leadership. They're working hard. We have to give them that.
He says the autopsy suite will bolster the work of the Institute of Forensic Science and Legal Medicine.
The autopsy suite will represent the last activity in a phase to create one of the finest institutes of forensic science and legal medicine in the Western Hemisphere. And I can say that both with the technical support, technical detail, without giving technical details, but that they have high quality technical services available and some excellent professionals headed by Dr. Mowat at this point. And we can say that anywhere and put that in any record that this institute, when this autopsy suite is finished, will be one of the finest forensic institutes in the Western Hemisphere and provide the best quality service that we can give.
Dr. Chang says to date, some $181,000 has been spent on DNA equipment, to include hardware for the DNA database, and $128,000 has been spent on DNA mixture software. We now get the latest market updates in this quick business report with Gabriel Thompson.
In foreign exchange trading for Friday, November 12, the US dollar sold for an average $154.89. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $125.72. The pound sterling traded for $209.72. And the euro sold for an average $182.63. In Friday's trading session, the JSE Combined Index declined by 2,557 points to close at over 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 96 stocks, of which 38 advanced, 45 declined, and 13 traded firm. The Junior Market Index advanced by 4 points to close at over 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for 1834 Investments Limited, AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, and Blue Power Group Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Barita Investments Limited, and Berger Paints Jamaica Limited. Trading firm were CAC 2000 9.5% preference shares, Community and Workers of Jamaica CCU deferred share, and Consolidated Bakers Jamaica Limited. Future Energy Source Company Limited ordinary shares was the volume leader with over 4.7 million units, followed by Scotia Group Jamaica Limited with over 2.6 million units, and Radio Jamaica Limited with over 2 million units. In market data for oil, crude oil prices fell on Monday on expectations of increasing supply, while higher energy costs and rising COVID-19 cases are also seen weighing on demand. Brent crude futures fell 96 cents or 1.2% to $81.21 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures lost 73 cents, or 0.9%, to $80.06 a barrel. Oil markets have dropped for the last 3 weeks, hit by a strengthening dollar and speculation that President Joe Biden's administration might release oil from the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve to cool prices. And with that, we close this Monday edition of the Business Report inside the news on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson. Pleasant viewing.
In regional news, Trinidad and Tobago's state of emergency, which was instituted in May of this year, will end on Wednesday, November 17. But Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said the police service will enforce some of the laws which will remain under the Public Health Ordinance. Kimberly D'Souza tells us more.
So on Wednesday, the Parliament will meet and we will discontinue the state of emergency and we continue to manage the vaccinated population and the unvaccinated population under the Public Health Ordinance.
Although scheduled to end on November 29th, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said the country's state of emergency is no longer necessary, but the population must still abide by the laws under the Public Health Ordinance, such as wearing masks. Dr. Rowley also announced that public gatherings will remain at 10, but public fetes and parties will be prohibited. Non-religious indoor events, christenings and weddings can continue with 50% capacity. Public transport will also remain at 75% and all border arrangements will remain in place. While church services will remain at 90 minutes, the capacity at the services and at gravesites have increased.
At the church, you can have 50% occupancy at the church for mourners, but at the graveside, 25 persons at the graveside.
Dr. Rowley said bars, restaurants and cinemas will continue to operate as safe zones with 50% capacity, but there will be no public consumption of alcohol. He also announced pools as a new safe zone area.
There are a number of persons for whom the therapy at public pools is something that is very important for their health. We will allow public pools to be used by vaccinated persons.
Dr. Rowley also hinted at the possibility of reopening beaches before the year ends for those who need aquatherapy.
I'm hoping that before Christmas, we should be able to go back into the beach environment with some kind of restrictions. In fact, well before Christmas, I would say that maybe we could start with some morning opening up.
By lifting the SOE, Dr. Rowley said the police will enforce the laws under the Public Health Ordinance. Kimberly D'Souza, TTT News.
On the fourth day after Grenada welcomed the first cruise ship to its shores, the cruise ship terminal was abuzz with hundreds of passengers disembarking from two larger vessels. The Grenada Tourism Authority officials as well as members of the media were present for their arrival.
From 79 passengers on Tuesday, Grenada witnessed a drastic increase in arrivals of 1,469 passengers from the cruise ship Britannia.
Out of that, we've got about 800 who are disembarking and actually going on 9 tours. These are tours which are approved and fully vaccinated team members. So they're going up to, for example, Andale Falls, they're going up to the Diamond Chocolate Factory, they're going river tubing, etc. And we know that they will have an absolutely amazing time.
CEO of the Grenada Tourism Authority, Petra Roach, says from the first cruise ship, they were able to address several issues in preparation for a larger number of cruise passengers.
We also have Seabourn Odyssey today, and they have come with about 780 passengers, all fully vaccinated, and about 300 of those are actually disembarking. So we just, will continue to understand that it's imperative for us to follow the protocols. We've got social distancing, the hand sanitizing.
Roach also notes the significance of the return of cruise ships for various stakeholders, including tour operators, water taxi drivers who have been on the birdline for almost 12 months.
And everybody just welcomes this day because it's been a tough time for them. You know, they've got families that they've got to feed. And I think whilst we hear those persons in the community who are saying we shouldn't open our borders, that's not practical.
However, members of the National Taxi Association feel they are being left out despite being fully vaccinated.
The members complaining about the job, the sharing of the job. Because over a year, going on 2 years now, just now, they haven't worked, and then they see route sticker bus coming and work. So I'm not against the tour operator bringing the route sticker bus, but you have to juggle it. NTA, because they're working with them over the years, but you have to juggle it to suit the circumstances.
Some of the other stakeholders say they are excited about the return of cruise ships to Grenada.
It has been pretty challenging those last week for the restart, but we are ready, and we do hope that things will be easier, having the beach accessible or the nutmeg factory open as well. But here we are ready.
It's been 19 and a half very long, hard months. I am thrilled to be able to get back into business, to be able to re-engage my team members, and this is long overdue. I urge all Grenadians, all of you, please. I have had 2 shots and a booster. The vaccines are safe. This is our way out of the crisis. For the sake of all of us, let's not waste any more time.
I am Gerard Joseph for GBN News.
In St. Kitts and Nevis, new legislation will now govern the further development and activities of the National Bureau of Standards. Glenn Bart has the details.
The Bureau of Standards Bill 2021 was passed in the National Assembly sitting of 10th November. The bill was first read in Parliament in August 2021, now forms the legislative foundation for the future growth and development of a modern Bureau of Standards. Minister of Trade Wendy Phipps, under whose ministry the Bureau falls, explained the relevance of the new legislation.
I wish to indicate, Mr. Speaker, that the bill that is before us is actually meant to do 2 things. 1, it is intended to replace an existing piece of legislation that would have been passed in 1999 as the National Bureau of Standards Act, Chapter 23.15, Act Number 7 of 1999. And the second purpose is to update our national legislation in terms of providing for the development and policing of a national standards and quality infrastructure in St. Kitts and Nevis, so that our people, the consumers of this federation, importers, wholesalers, retailers alike, can have the best quality when it comes to goods and services, practices and processes for which they will have to pay in order to enjoy the luxuries of same.
According to Minister Phipps, stakeholders were provided opportunities to have an input on the bill before its full debate in the National Assembly. Glenn Butt reporting for SKN Newsline.
In sports, we're on the pitch with cricket. West Indies women completed a clean sweep of their 3-match series against Pakistan women with a 6-wicket victory. Chasing a target of 226, West Indies were playing at 15 for 3 in the 5th over to get over the line with 6 overs remaining. Captain Stephanie Taylor was player of the match with an unbeaten 102 of 117 deliveries with a dozen fours. With this victory, Taylor has carved out her 7th one-day international 100 and surpassed 5,000 runs in the format. West Indies women will now travel to Zimbabwe to compete in the ICC World Cup qualifiers from November 21 to December 5. In other sporting news, the 54th staging of the Jamaica Golf Association Open Championships started on the weekend at the Trial Golf Club. 68 golfers are down to participate from Jamaica, the USA, Canada, the Dominican Republic, Trinidad and Tobago, Bermuda and Uganda. A new champion will lift the trophy on Wednesday afternoon. And that's the news on PBCJ. Thank you so much for watching.